You've just come out of a bad meeting. The timeline slipped, the client is unhappy, your manager is waiting for an explanation, and you have to write the email.
Not tomorrow. Tonight.
So you open your laptop, and you start typing, and everything you actually feel, the frustration, the defensiveness, the "I told you this would happen," starts coming out in the words.
And somehow it sounds completely professional in your head.
It doesn't. Kai hit send, luckily only to his manager for review. His manager read it, put his phone down, and said 4 words, "Do not send this."
Today, we read both versions. The one Kai almost sent and the one that actually worked.
Welcome back to English in the Wild, the show that closes the gap between the English you studied and the English you actually need. I'm Alex.
And I'm Kim.
If you're new here, this show is built around one idea. The English you need at work is not the English you were taught in school.
We use real situations, real mistakes, and real language to close that gap.
Today's episode is about email, specifically what happens when your emotions write the first draft.
With us again, Kai, who lived through it, and Professor Maya, who's going to show us exactly what went wrong and why the fix works.
Kai, take us back to the night after the Singapore debrief.
It was about 11 at night. My manager had just sent me a message asking for a written summary of what happened to share with the client the next morning. And I was still angry, not at anyone specifically, just at the whole situation.
And you had to write something professional.
I had to write something professional in English while angry at 11 p.m. So I wrote the first thing that came out.
And that draft, you still have it?
I still have it. My manager made me keep it. He said, "You'll need this one day."
Read it for us.
Hi, David. As discussed in today's debrief, we have identified that the delivery estimate provided in the second presentation did not account for the integration testing phase. This oversight resulted in the missed milestone. We apologize for any inconvenience caused and will ensure this does not happen again. Please let us know if you have any further questions. Best regards, Kai.
Okay.
It sounds fine.
It sounds fine. Maya, what does it actually say?
What it actually says is quite different from what it sounds like. Let's go through it together. The first problem is the very first phrase, as discussed in today's debrief. That phrase does something specific. It signals that this is a continuation of an internal conversation. It puts the client in the position of someone who should already know the context. But David, the client, was not in the debrief. He's receiving this email cold.
So it reads as if he's being briefed on a meeting he wasn't invited to.
Exactly. And that creates an immediate distance. The client feels like an outsider to a problem that is very much his problem.
I didn't even think about that. I just wrote as discussed because that's what you write in professional emails.
And that's a perfect example of what we might call borrowed formality. Phrases that sound professional because you've seen them in professional emails, but that you're using without understanding what function they serve. As discussed is a callback phrase. It only works when the person you're writing to was part of the discussion.
So the phrase itself isn't wrong. It's just wrong here.
Precisely. Context determines correctness in professional writing far more than grammar does.
What's the second problem?
The second problem is this sentence. This oversight resulted in the missed milestone. 2 things are happening here. First, the word oversight. In English, oversight has 2 meanings. It can mean supervision, as in under my oversight, or it can mean a mistake made because someone wasn't paying attention. Kai intended the second meaning. But the word choice is unfortunately neutral in a situation that requires accountability.
So it sounds like he's minimizing what happened.
It sounds like the problem happened on its own. Nobody caused it. It was just an oversight. Things slipped through. The passive construction makes it worse. Resulted in the missed milestone. Resulted from what? From whom? The sentence has no owner.
I thought I was being professional by not pointing fingers.
You were being professional in the wrong direction. The client doesn't need you to point fingers, but he does need to feel that a human being is taking responsibility. When you remove the subject from the sentence, you also remove the accountability.
And the third problem,
We apologize for any inconvenience caused. This is perhaps the most damaging line in the email. Not because it's impolite, it's perfectly polite, but because it is wildly disproportionate to what actually happened. A missed milestone that forced a senior manager to fly internationally is not an inconvenience. An inconvenience is a delayed coffee order. By using that word, Kai has accidentally communicated that he does not understand the severity of what happened.
That's bad.
From the client's perspective, it reads as either oblivious or dismissive. Neither is recoverable in a single email.
My manager read that line and actually put the phone face down on the desk.
so the email is polite, grammatically correct, professionally formatted, and almost catastrophically wrong.
Almost catastrophically wrong, yes. And this is the central lesson of today. In professional English writing, politeness and correctness are the floor, not the ceiling. What matters above the floor is whether your language accurately reflects the reality of the situation, the stakes, the relationship, and what the other person actually needs to hear.
So what did the good version look like? Kai, read us the email that actually sent.
Hi, David. I want to write to you directly about what happened last week, and to take personal responsibility for the gap in our timeline. The integration testing phase was not reflected in the estimate I reviewed before our second presentation. I should have flagged that before we finalized the timeline with you, and I didn't. As a result, we missed the first milestone, and your team lost 3 weeks of planning certainty. I'm sorry. That's not acceptable, and it won't happen again. We've since completed a full review of the remaining phases. I'd like to walk you through the revised timeline when it's convenient for you, either on a call this week or in writing, whichever works best. Kai.
That's a completely different email.
I'm sorry. 2 words.
2 words that the first email never found. Let's look at what changed and why each change matters. The opening. I want to write to you directly about what happened last week and to take personal responsibility. 2 things in one sentence. First, directly, it signals transparency before anything else has been said. The client knows immediately that he is not about to receive a corporate non-answer. Second, take personal responsibility. A human being has appeared in the email, not a company, not a passive construction. Kai.
It also doesn't start with as discussed.
It doesn't start with as discussed. It starts with I. That single shift from a reference to a past event to a person speaking in the present changes the entire emotional register of the email.
My manager told me to start with I specifically. I didn't understand why at the time.
Because I creates immediacy, and immediacy creates trust. When someone has been let down, they need to feel that another person is present, not a process, not a template.
What about the middle section, where Kai explains what actually happened?
This is the most technically precise part of the email. Listen to this sentence. The integration testing phase was not reflected in the estimate I reviewed before our second presentation. Notice, The passive voice is still there. Was not reflected. But this time, it's followed immediately by, I should have flagged that before we finalized the timeline with you, and I didn't.
But wait, if I say I should have flagged that, doesn't that make me look incompetent?
I was thinking the same thing.
That's exactly the fear that makes most professionals write badly. Here's the truth. The client already knows something went wrong. The question is not whether you look responsible. The question is whether you sound like someone who can be trusted going forward.
So hiding it makes it worse.
Every time. The passive sets up the fact, the active sentence owns it. That sequence, fact, then ownership, is the correct structure for a professional accountability email.
So passive voice isn't always wrong.
Passive voice is a tool. Like any tool, its value depends on what you're building. Used to describe a situation objectively, it's precise. Used to avoid owning a mistake, it's damaging. The difference is whether an active sentence follows it.
And this isn't just email. The same pattern works in meetings.
Exactly. Compare. There was a misunderstanding about the requirement versus I misunderstood the requirement. Same tool, same logic. One sentence has an owner, one doesn't.
I say there was a misunderstanding all the time.
Most people do. It's the default. The goal is to notice when you're doing it and choose differently.
I never thought about passive voice that way. In school, we were just told, avoid it.
Most people are. But professional writing is not about avoiding structures. It's about understanding what each structure does and choosing the right one for the right moment. That's what separates writing that sounds professional from writing that actually functions professionally.
There's another line I want to highlight. Your team lost 3 weeks of planning certainty. That's a very specific sentence.
Very specific and very deliberate. Inconvenience in the first draft had no weight because it had no content. 3 weeks of planning certainty is a consequence with a number and a name. The client can feel exactly what was taken from him. That specificity also communicates something else. Kai understands the impact, not just abstractly, concretely, and that changes the power dynamic of the apology.
It's the difference between I know I hurt you and I know I hurt you when I said that thing on Tuesday in front of everyone.
Exactly. Specificity is a form of empathy in professional writing. The more precisely you name what went wrong, the more the other person feels seen.
And then, I'm sorry, just that.
Just that. No qualifiers. No, I'm sorry if this caused any issues. No, I apologize for any inconvenience. Just, I'm sorry. That's not acceptable, and it won't happen again. 3 sentences. Subject, verb, full stop. At the moment when the stakes are highest, the language gets simplest.
Why does simplicity work better there?
Because complexity at the moment of apology reads as deflection. Every extra clause is a place the reader's eye can catch something, a hedge, a qualification, an escape route. When you strip it down to the simplest possible form, there is nowhere to hide, and that nakedness is what makes it credible.
My manager said, and I remember this exactly, the shorter your apology, the more it sounds like you mean it.
Yeah, your manager gave you a masterclass in pragmatics right there.
Before we move on, let's slow down on 3 phrases from that second email. These are the ones worth keeping.
First phrase, natural speed. I want to write to you directly about what happened. Now slowly, I want to write to you directly about what happened.
I want to write to you directly about what happened.
That's it. Now at natural speed, I want to write to you directly about what happened. Second phrase, natural speed. I should have flagged that and I didn't. Slowly, I should have flagged that and I didn't.
I should have flagged that, and I didn't.
Good. Those 4 words, and I didn't. That's where the accountability lives. Don't rush past them. Third phrase, natural speed. I'm sorry. That's not acceptable and it won't happen again. Slowly. I'm sorry. That's not acceptable and it won't happen again.
I'm sorry. That's not acceptable. And it won't happen again.
That's exactly it. Say it like you mean it, because when you use it, you will.
Maya, let's give listeners something to take away. If someone has to write a difficult professional email this week, accountability, bad news, something that went wrong, what's the structure?
4 parts. First, presence. Open with I and name what you're writing about directly. No as discussed. No, I hope this email finds you well. The other person knows why you're writing. Don't make them wait.
Second,
Fact, then ownership. State what happened in one clear sentence. You can use passive voice here because you're describing a situation, not assigning blame. Then immediately follow with an active sentence where you own your part in it. That sequence is the skeleton of a credible accountability email.
Third,
Specific consequence and the naked apology. Name what the other person actually lost. Time, certainty, money, trust, not inconvenience, the real thing. Then say you're sorry, just I'm sorry. No excuses.
and fourth,
Forward motion, end with what happens next. A concrete offer, a timeline, a choice you're giving them. I'd like to walk you through the revised timeline, a call this week or in writing, whichever works best. You're not asking them to respond to bad news, you're giving them something to move toward. That shift from the problem to the next step is what closes the loop.
presence. Fact plus ownership. Specific consequence and the naked apology. Forward motion.
4 parts. You don't need more than that.
Before the recap, if English in the Wild has been useful, subscribing is the best way to tell us to keep going. Every subscriber keeps this show free.
And if you've written an email you regret, or one you're proud of, we want to read it, not to judge, to learn from. Drop it in the comments. The best ones might end up in a future episode.
And the question for this week, think of a difficult email you had to write in English, an apology, a complaint, a piece of bad news. What was the hardest part, the opening sentence? Finding the right level of formality? Knowing how direct to be? Tell us in the comments. 1 sentence is enough. 4 parts to a professional accountability email. Presence. Open with I, name what you're writing about, no warm-up. Fact plus ownership, state what happened, then own your part in it. Specific consequence and apology, name the real impact, then say you're sorry. Forward motion, close with what happens next. And the word from today, directly. Put it in your opening sentence this week. I want to write to you directly about 4 words that tell the reader everything about who they're dealing with.
And the bonus lesson from Kai's manager, who had it right. The shorter your apology, the more it sounds like you mean it. 10 words. I'm sorry, that's not acceptable, and it won't happen again. 10 words worth more than anything in that first draft.
I'm going back through every apology email I've ever sent.
Next week, we're going outside the office. Kai has a new situation, a team dinner, a client he's never met in person, and 30 seconds of small talk that determined how the whole evening went. We're going to break down what he said, what he should have said, and why small talk in English is not small at all.
Subscribe so you don't miss it. Because after next week, you'll never walk into a room of strangers the same way again.
English in the wild, real English, real situations, real results.